The NFLPA team report cards have been leaked, and Jim Harbaugh was one of the lowest grades in the entire NFL.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, man? Welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Droegemeier, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as a host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day as part of the #1 sports podcast network. And today's bonus show, David, is having to do with Jim Harbaugh being one of the least liked coaches by his players in the NFL. It's still surprising to me.
I mean, do these players not like winning? Like, what's wrong with them? I mean, they're in the playoffs back-to-back seasons.
Yeah, at the same time, I think playoff winning probably would have got him a different grade. But this year is a little bit different for the NFLPA report cards because basically the NFL teams and owners decided, hey, like, we don't want this going public and for this to be reaching everybody, right, and having all of our dirty laundry aired. And yet, still, it was leaked, right? I mean, multiple places leaked who had what as far as the NFLPA team report cards. And it was very interesting. Obviously, last year, the Chargers took a huge jump, especially with the Bolt opening up their new practice facility, a bunch of state-of-the-art equipment in their weight room, locker room, all of those things.
Imagine
this year,
that.
They went from 5th last year, which is awesome, to 15th this year. And there was a little bit different grading scale of how they did it this time around. But the most kind of shocking, jarring ones was to see that Jim Harbaugh got the 3rd lowest grade amongst all head coaches in the entire NFL. So this is what they said last year. Last year he had a B+, which still was lower in the rankings, but it was 55% of Chargers players feel their head coach Jim Harbaugh is efficient with their time, which ranked 32nd or 32 out of 32 NFL teams. And the players felt that Harbaugh is only moderately receptive to locker room feedback from the locker room, ranking him 26th out of 32 head coach in the league. So that was last year. This year, we don't get that other context. But David, I mean, when the only people worse than you were Kevin Stefanski and Brian Daboll, and both of those guys were fired, not a great look to be way down there in this grading.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I do wish we had some of the context to kind of figure out exactly how they formulated this grade, but we don't. And I understand it, right? They don't want that type of information to be put out there. But, I mean, this is accountability in every form, right? I mean, I think that's what this is all about. But I did find it very surprising. However, I did see a clip out there of former Chargers wide receiver DJ Chark talking about the practices with Jim Harbaugh and how they were as difficult as they were back in college. Like, he couldn't really compare any other NFL programs to it. He said that the college practices it was like that. Like, it was that difficult. It was that hard. And I think maybe that might play a factor in it. Jim Harbaugh is an old school coach, right? He is one of those, very much a hard work, there every day, kind of old school mentality. So I can see how that might rub some people the wrong way.
Yeah, and that was the thing, right? Like, when Jim Harbaugh took the job, I think there was legitimate questions out there if the way he did things would still work. Having been away from the game so long and being in the college game and being more of that CEO type in a different kind of role than you have in the NFL, I think a lot of people wondered that. And, when you have him singing, for he's a jolly good fellow and, having all the cliches and the who has it better than us, that works as long as you're winning, and they've been winning. But I guess that tells you that it's not just about winning. It's still not going to fly with some of these probably younger players, if I had to guess. I did see Gavino Borquez of Chargers Wire speculating or saying there has been speculation that it could be kind of tanked by guys like a Will Dissly or a Tyler Conklin or a Mekhi Becton who kind of lost their jobs or disagreed with how some things were going, which could be part of it as well. But I think at the same time, for Jim Harbaugh, I don't think this necessarily hurts them as a free agent destination or anything like that. But still a little bit surprising. Not surprising that, he's going on long tangents and probably weird stories and stuff like that. It's going to, feel like it's not super efficient. But weird to see him ranked 3rd worst at anything as far as coaching goes. But what was not surprising was to see that Greg Roman was the 2nd worst graded offensive coordinator in the NFL. And I liked this change, getting to see the offensive and defensive coordinator grades instead of just more of a general coaching. The only one worse was Chip Kelly. And David, the crazy thing is we were basically one playoff embarrassment away from the Chargers probably still having him, which seems nuts.
Oh my, I can't imagine it now. It's been
This would
bad.
hurt a lot if he was still the coach right now.
Oh yeah, it would be horrible, and it would take a lot of the hope that you experience with Mike McDaniel being the offensive coordinator. That would all be gone away. It still feel like you have those storm clouds that are on top of you. Like, oh no, how are they ever going to get the most out of Justin Herbert? How are they going to protect him? How are they going to get schematic advantages when Greg Roman just never showed an ability to really be able to adapt and be able to put his players consistently in positions to have success or to protect Justin Herbert schematically? It just didn't happen. So it is of no surprise to anyone that he had such a low grade to me.
Yeah, I mean, it goes along with kind of how they played, right? Like the offense is kind of matched by how the team felt about Greg Roman, and obviously you're seeing in this that like they didn't trust the offense. They didn't like him as a coach. They didn't think he was a very good coach, is what this would tell me. Because I mean, we saw the comments after the season were pretty harsh, and you have guys even like Lad McConkey speaking out against the offense pretty obviously, right?
Lad.
Like, yeah, and like again, like I think this one is one we can confidently say this one should be a much higher grade than any other, most easily improved grade on the Chargers report card this season. But that wasn't the only low grade they got, because they did get a pretty low grade on their position coaching, but they also did make me miss one guy in particular, and that is Jesse Minter. Of course, aced it with an A+. We're getting into that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. College basketball is nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night, from early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board, and now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger payouts with the college basketball parlay profit boost. And that is one of the great things about college basketball, and admittedly, this is when I start really locking in on it. Is not only are there just so many games, but they're happening at all times of the day, because you just have all these East Coast teams playing super early, going all the way to the West Coast when you're having all these late games chasing or whatever the situation is. And now you can build any college hoop parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how the slate is playing out. And then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position that you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping that the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that really says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to the Indeed data worldwide. So spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And the listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. We live in a world where you can stream anything, order food in minutes, and carry supercomputers in our pockets. And somehow, buying tickets to a live game still feels complicated. Hidden fees, jumping prices, and endless steps. There has to be a better way. And the good news is there is. That's why I use the Gametime app. It gives the fans the advantage and makes the tickets simple, whether it's NFL tickets, concerts, comedy, whatever you're into. I jumped on the app to check out tickets for an upcoming game, and honestly, it only took me minutes. And not only that, there were several other things happening in my area that I didn't even know about before I got on the Gametime app and saw them. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And a lot of times, the closer you get to the event starting, the lower the prices get. And the price that you see also is the price that you're going to get. No surprises at checkout. 2 taps and you have great seats locked in. Fast, easy, done. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. David, I have some more here to get into with this NFLPA report card that has come out, basically to let players around the league know what the situations are like everywhere. And a lot of players have connections and guys they used to play with in college or guys that they've been on teams with in the pros. But this is something that's more all-encompassing, that gives you insight into, how things are run certain places. And the players have much more information than even we have, and these are all still going out to all the players, but they're not out to the public. So they had to get leaked this year to happen. And when I was looking at kind of the things that surprised me on this, and one of the other ones that was lower than I thought it would be was the Chargers position coaches, which ended up getting a C+, which was near the bottom of the league.
That made absolutely no sense to me. That really, really surprised me. I think by and large, you look across pretty much every single position group, I thought you saw some quality play out of most of those positions. And the position groups that you didn't see those quality play from, those position coaches were replaced. They got a new offensive line coach. They got a new tight end coach. I think more specifically on the offensive line, we just did not see any development of any kind. And yes, obviously they were dealt a raw hand when you lose 2 all-pro tackles. That is never any situation any coach is going to be able to have a lot of success out of. But that's where your true metal is tested, to try to see if you can provide any kind of quality combinations, and it just didn't happen. So that was replaced there. But other than that, other than those 2 positions, I think you look across all of the different position groups, and I think you like what you saw.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, though, right? It's not about how good a position played. It's about how those players feel about their coaches, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you could play great and still not like your coach. Like that. It's just as simple as that. And I think the thing is you want to hope that all of these problems lied with Andy Bischoff, who's gone now, and Mike Devlin, who's gone now, and Keel McDonald, who's gone now, right? But the likelihood is some of the guys that weren't liked are probably still on the staff. Like, I doubt a lot of people didn't like Navarro Bowman, at least from what we heard about him, right? But the Chargers do have a lot of new position coaches in place, and I think this is really the best part of this, David, is just that the Miami Dolphins position coaches were tied for the 3rd highest grade in the NFL with an A-. You're getting some of those position coaches, hopefully, with Mike McDaniel being able to choose them, you're getting some of those guys that help the Dolphins have, the 3rd highest grade in the NFL with an A- in their position coaches. So one other part, obviously, that sucks is seeing Jesse Minter get an A+. We miss you already. I think that is also kind of part of the reason that you see, Chris O'Leary being the Chargers DC now, because of those relationships that he was able to build. And that's the one thing, like Greg Roman sitting in the box calling plays didn't ever seem like he had the relationship with these offensive players. They didn't. And it's easy because Jesse Minter's jumping up and hugging these dudes on the sideline. Greg Roman's literally in a box, hundreds and hundreds of feet away. It's not possible, but it just felt a lot different. Obviously, Jesse Minter thought of as players as we think of him as a coach, near the top of the league, so we're going to miss Jesse Minter. But David, when you looked at kind of the rest of this list, what stood out to you as far as things that maybe bothered you that they can improve on?
Yeah, I think to me at the top of the list that bothers me is the families, the treatment of the families being at a C+. And to me, like that's just wholly unacceptable, because like if you're taking care of the families, you're taking care of the players. Like that's what that is. And when your families are taken care of, you it, you have a wife, you have a daughter. When your wife and your daughter are taken care of, then you feel free to be able to do your job and feel confident, and you feel like you can go out there and excel. And so I feel like as a professional franchise, it should be easy to talk to the families, ask them what they need, and go provide that to them and just fix that problem. That just should be something that is never an issue. And I feel like that has to get fixed immediately.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like, that's a hard thing. Like, obviously, like the Rams were very similarly graded in part of this. And last year it was the players running the post-game family area, 6.5 out of 10, which ranked them 27th out of 32 teams. And also, the players last year at least said that the team frequently organized family events, ranking them 3rd out of 32 teams. The most common player request was helping their families secure parking passes for home games. So that one feels like a very fixable one, I would say.
Just do it.
That one seems like a no-brainer. It's hard to say. We don't have the same context this year, but that is what had them down last year. The room that they get on game days is tough because, I mean, that's a SoFi Stadium thing, right? Not something that's probably going to get changed anytime soon. The one that surprised me was the Chargers getting a B on their strength coaches, which doesn't seem that low, but it's actually tied for the lowest grade in the league. There was no lower grade than a B as far as how teams rated their own strength and conditioning coaches. Now, Training staff, nutritionist, Chargers top 10. Facilities, as we know with the Bolt, top notch. They were also top 10 there. Weight rooms, locker room, training room, all that. But Ben Herbert was brought in as the highest paid college strength guy in all of college football, right? Obviously, last year it didn't feel like he made them much harder to break. But I would also say that the Chargers have seemed very well conditioned through 2 seasons under this regime, right? And don't ever really seem like they're getting tired or run over in the fourth quarter of a lot of these games. So either way, that was a little surprising. But I do think like the way that they pin everyone kind of against each other, everything's very public. If you're missing days, that's all out there. And I do think they do it very differently than most NFL teams do it in that regard, where you're it's great to have that competitive side, and some people rise up to that. And some people don't like being put in the spotlight and having all of their kind of
very true.
Everything that they're doing wrong kind of held up, or places they haven't improved enough of being held up to everyone out there. So that is a little interesting. But that one I found interesting. Ben Herbert, tied for the lowest in the league, even at a B. So that's going to wrap things up for today's show. Make sure you're back tomorrow for Buy or Sell Tuesday. Get your your buy or sells in at Locked On LAC on Twitter, at Locked On Chargers on Instagram, and our Locked On Chargers Facebook page. We also post the show to all those places as well. But the best way to never miss the show is by subscribing or following for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listening wherever you get your podcast from. I'll be at Disneyland the next couple of days. We're still planning on doing a show if everything goes well. So hopefully, I will be back with you guys tomorrow. But make sure you guys get your buy or sells in. But until then, take it easy and go Bolts.